Hi, Valley Fourth Church. Pastor Josh here. Today I want to do the pastor devotion, and today we want to look at Hebrews 11:6 together. So if you've been with us on Sunday mornings, you know we've been doing this series on kind of the heroes of the faith through Hebrews 11, and it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully you've been able to be a part of that. And last week we learned about Enoch in Hebrews 11:5, and this coming Sunday we're going to learn about Noah from Hebrews 11:7. But sandwiched kind of in between there is a verse 6, that we're not going to get to spend a lot of time on Sunday, although Pastor Joe had talked about it earlier on in the series. I want to just take a few minutes in this video to share some thoughts on verse 6 that I think will be encouraging for you. So here's what it says. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Now, certainly right there between Enoch and Noah, that those are both examples of this. Both Enoch and Noah demonstrated a faith that pleased God, and they knew that God would reward their actions, and they believed in God very much. So three thoughts for us as we think about this verse. The first one is real simple. You can't please God without faith. It says without faith, it's impossible to please God. And this may seem a little funny because we think maybe God is pleased more with my actions, with my, the money I give to the church, or the ways that I serve God in a ministry, or my ideas for God, or the things that I want to do for God. Those are the things that we think would please God. But Hebrews 11:6 says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. Now, I could do those good things in faith, and that would be pleasing to God. But I could also be tempted to maybe do some good works on my own and my own self-reliance. And those may not please God. I think about the Pharisees in the New Testament who did many of the right things. They tithed, they studied Scripture, they talked about God all the time. But at the end, they were very self-reliant, and they weren't trusting God. They were trusting more in themselves. And so faith is really antithetical to human pride. Our pride wants to trust ourselves, but we have to humble ourselves if we want to please God. That's how Hebrews describes Enoch and Noah. The second thought is that the draw near to God starts with believing that he exists, believing that God exists. Now, all of us have gone on a different faith journey and how we came to believe that God exists and to trust him in deeper ways. And I'm sure many of you have struggled through the various questions, the scientific questions. How could something supernatural be there? Where did the earth come from? And all those kinds of things. Or maybe some of the more emotional questions, wondering if there is a God, how could he be good? Many people I talk to have trouble believing God exists because of some suffering or trials in their life, or a loved one that had a disease. And it's troublesome for us sometimes to trust that there could be a God because of those things. But whatever process God brought you through to believe in him, that's where our relationship with him starts. Now, there's another thing I want to think about, which is sometimes called functional or practical atheism. So a functional atheist may verbally say that God exists, may even in their mind know that God exists, but the way they live as if God doesn't exist. And this can be true for me as much as it can be true for you. We can worship God on Sunday here. We know he exists, but then when we balance our budget during the week, or we do whatever, we do it as if God doesn't exist and he's not part of our lives. So believing God exists means that I actually live my life as if he exists, the way we do everything, the activities we're involved in, the conversations that we have. And then the third thing at the end of the verse is believing that God rewards those who seek him. I don't know if you ever feel like maybe believing in God isn't going to be worth it in the end. Or maybe the ways I've served or sacrificed for God won't be worth it in the end. And ultimately, if we're looking for this life only, it would seem that way. But as we'll study in Hebrews 11, we're looking for something beyond this life, something that will come in heaven. In fact, a verse a little bit later in Hebrews 11, talking about Moses, says that he, Moses, considered the reproach of Christ greater than the wealth of the treasure of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. So there's something about Moses that was looking forward to a reward, some way that God would reward him for the faith that he had. And all throughout Hebrews we see this. Abraham was looking forward to a city whose builder and foundations was God. And so we've got to trust that God will reward us for seeking him, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it at the time. I want to tell you guys, it is going to be worth it in the end. One day when we see him, he says, "Good, well done, good and faithful servant." Nothing that's done for Christ is wasted. So just want to encourage you with that thought today. We believe that God exists. We trust him by faith. And we know that one day he will reward us. It will be worth it in the end. So we hope you have a great day. May you be encouraged, and God bless you. There we go.